Well, hey, welcome to the Mystery School.
How's it going?
Hey, good, Tony. How are you, man?
Good. All right. We're going to play some music in a few minutes here, but tonight it is the duo, just me and Dustin.
Yeah. You warm it up with some conversation and the original duo, right? The dynamic duo.
We started this thing. We started putting them up, like, I think last June or July. I forget.
We've almost made a full season, huh? A full year's worth.
Almost. We're
getting there.
I think we might be around 25 or so, at the
25 a year rate.
25 episodes. But so tonight I figured we'd kind of go through the history of the Mystery School, how it started. What do you think?
I think so. It's a good year in review. We've made it this far. I mean, did you think we would make it to 20? I think this is episode 20, at least that we've shared.
I don't. It's hard to say. I don't know if I even thought about it.
We didn't know at all, huh? We just said, let's do the first one and see how it turns out.
Even when we did the first one, we didn't really know if we were going to put it up, right? We just did it.
We just did it. We finally recorded it.
We recorded it, and then we made it. And then
friends.
Once we had it, then we're like, we had a few before we even put any up, right?
Well, we've recorded everything we've ever done, so we have not only the last year.
We started without doing the talking part.
Yeah, we never recorded talking. We just threw that out into the ether.
Yeah.
So we thought, hey, we got some friends. They talk about some weird things. Why not get it down on tape, like the music? So, I mean, after 20 episodes, nearly a year, we're still doing it. And I mean, hey, what is this beast, Tony?
We've had some pretty crazy episodes. We've had all kinds of things go on.
That's one thing to say about this show is it's dynamic, right? I don't think we've ever gotten stuck into the house band sound.
Yeah, I think every episode sounds very different.
Very different. And not only quality-wise, but or not only music-wise, but quality-wise, as it's kind of gone through the progressions of us learning how to podcast, learning how we want to record, compiling gear, right, knowing what we want to do.
Yeah, we've definitely acquired a lot of things throughout the year. But all right, let's bring it back to the beginning. First, it all started with one day we were working together, and after work, you came back here and we assembled a junk drum kit out of old
marching band drum parts.
Yeah, marching band drum parts that were given to me.
The legion of musician friends throughout the years have left behind.
Yeah.
So the fallen soldiers, the rhythmic fallen soldiers, we gathered into alignment.
We took other people's garbage and we started recording with it. And our first recording device that we used was a little mixer, like a small Mackie mixer with into an iPhone, with it was pretty.
What was the app?
Multi-track.
With the multi-track DAW app, right? And so that was interesting.
So we had the mixer going. We had I had two amps mic'd up with a bunch of pedals. I was running a stereo rig on the first episode, the first recording.
The first recordings, right?
But the drums were just all in mono because we were just doing drums with a couple of mics. And you were standing up.
We had limited resources.
You were standing up playing the marching kick on the ground with the pedal. And then the snare drum was on top of the kick.
Yeah, resting on top of the kick.
And then, was there hi-hats?
No, we didn't have any hi-hats, but we had two broken cymbals. Well, the first day it was just two broken cymbals on the stand, and then the snare there. But we later morphed into taking those two broken cymbals
and making them
hi-hats on an old hi-hat stand we found.
Yeah, because there was two 14-inch crashes, right?
Exactly. Or a 15 and a 14. I don't know if
they were the same size. I think they were both 14-inch. They might have even been different hi-hats.
They were different cymbals, yeah. They were two different crash cymbals that we rigged into hi-hats.
And you even had drums at your house, but we just happened to. We were here one day and we just threw it together.
And then it sounded good enough.
It sounded cool because it sounded real trashy.
Yeah,
it sounded like some 70s lo-fi.
It did, and we liked that kind of less is more kind of sound, that minimalist approach.
Yeah,
and I think that was part of the charm to it. I mean, just meeting a random friend that's going to be your friend. He also plays music. And then going, wow, I mean, that was part of the charm to not only the music vibing right, but what kind of sounds can you make on a limited amount of resources?
And we just started just completely freestyling. It was all, we didn't play, we just kind of,
we never went through like, what do you listen to, what are we gonna do?
No, but we weren't playing any songs or nothing. We just started jamming, and just I would just kind of just go, I don't know what I was doing, but we were just
drum. I would drum, and
then it would just kind of like go into the next part.
So that basically that meeting showed us. I mean, hey, we found someone we can jam with, we can make expressions with. So we did it again. We did it on the regular. We continued.
We did that a few times, and then we were slowly acquiring more gear. And
once we realized, okay, this is decent. We're playing, the charm of the broken kit jams and stuff. It started to be like, you know what? Like, we're playing some quality stuff together. Let's get some real gear in, and let's jam. Let's have an official jam, not an after work. Like, hey, you play, I play. Let's dig up what we can dig up. So I brought over my gear, my kit, and he set up his guitar, and we're like, okay, here we go. We got the real deal. What's it going to be like with real sounds, right? Is it going to still have that charm and sound as good? And it did. We played. We did. It was, once again, just free form. We didn't talk about what we were going to play.
That's how we've always pretty much done it as the duo. Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
And
that's
then,
our mindset. I mean.
And then from there, we got the idea, or one day, I think we got off work early or something, right? Or I got off early or whatever, and I was like, let's go to Davis and play with Brian Jackson.
That's right.
Yeah. So this is still before the podcast, but we brought all the equipment out there.
Yeah, this was our first time jamming with somebody else.
We're still on the mixer in the iPhone.
Yep.
And then we did that, and that turned out cool. I actually posted a few, remember, YouTube videos, because I didn't even have a computer at the time, so the only way I could deal with any of this was on my iPhone. So I was trying to find a way to put it online.
That's right. And we were dumping everything to my hard drive.
Yeah. So the first, you could go, if you went probably and looked up on YouTube the mystery, or I think first few were on Vimeo, some are on YouTube, but you might be able to find some of those old things if you look.
I think I did one of those accounts like the Spotify or the SoundCloud. It's on the DJB and Friends. I put up the Day of Heights. That's the name of the song that Brian named it. It's the Mystery School with Brian Jackson and Davis. It's called the Day of Heights on SoundCloud. Yeah, because we were kind of talking. We're like, we were listening back, and that's the elevator song. We were talking about the elevator, and we were like, what was that song? And he's like, yeah, it really stuck. And he was working it out even afterwards in the post jam, going, yeah, that song's gonna be the Day of Heights or something. Or like, what do you want to call? Or maybe that was the name of the band that we was like, what are we doing as a 3-piece? What would you call the band, Brian? And it was something in that vein.
Yeah. And
it's out there somewhere, huh?
Then from there, we probably did a few more jams after that, but eventually we invited Kevin over, right?
Yeah.
But did we do... Kevin wasn't the first episode, right? He came over before we did...
No.
Actual podcast, or was that the...
That was the first time
episode 1?
That was episode 1. The pilot was with Tony and Kevin and myself.
Yeah.
And it was that was the first time I'd even met Kevin. It was the first time I had jammed with Kevin. And that's kind of been the running theme of this show. Most of Tony's friends, jamming with them has been the first time I've ever played with them. And likewise, most of my friends that have come on the show, Tony's never played with them before. So at least every single night, there's at least one pairing. They've never even met each other or have never even played with each other.
Yeah.
So that first night, Kevin, that's been...
And that was our first upgrade, because Patrick Tice, who's been on here before, he gave me that 4-track tape machine.
That's right. We went to the cassette tape. Right?
So
why did we do that? The multi-track dog would get that weird interference hum.
Yeah, we had an issue. We had some bad problems with that. Yeah. But we still recorded the audio on that. When we talked, it was still recorded on the mixer with the DAW. And then when we did the music, we did it on the cassette. And we did the cassette. To me, was like, the point of it was that I can do 4 tracks now, and I could have some mixing control after, because I'm playing and I don't necessarily know if the mix is right. We maybe a sound check, but who knows what happens?
Yeah.
So then we had 4 tracks so I could adjust some levels.
Well, that's when we really started to be able to experiment with stereo, right? We
still weren't quite doing stereo because I was like,
that was when we got the tape reel to reel, right?
Not even then. No, stereo came with the digital, but
with the recycle back to digital.
Yeah, so we got the 4-track tape machine, and then what happened after that was I was out.
Well, the 4-track was cool because whether at the time of just like having to convince ourselves how cool it was, we had a lot of talks about tape is cool, man. It's the magnetism, right? It's capturing that warmth.
There's the warmth, but you always had these weird ideas about what do you call it? What the thoughts of the
capturing
day?
the moment? Yeah, maybe it can capture more than the sounds, the thoughts of the musicians or the stamp of the day. Maybe who knows?
You're very superstitious about tape.
Magnetism, right?
And then I was out record shopping with Dean Del Rey and Nick Youssef. They came to town and did a comedy show, and then after
they're doing the punchline.
The next day, I went with them record shopping, and then I found the reel to reel, a 4-track reel to reel. I'd been looking for one, like I wanted to get a reel to reel of like a 4-track one like that for a while, and I'd been like checking Craigslist, and they're not that easy to find. And then I found one at that store, and then I bought it, and then I brought that thing home, and that was a big upgrade because the quality of that was just way better than the cassette.
It was.
Like if you think of a cassette, you have like this really small, light, flimsy thing, and then a reel of tape is huge and like got some weight to it. Like you're probably getting 10 to 20 times more, more
the resolution
tape.
Of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like way higher resolution.
And you can watch it spin while you're playing.
And I think that one might even have some tubes in it.
Moving. I guess you can see the tape cassette too moving, but not on the grand scale of it's in the jam room. It's spinning.
There's something cool too about how you have to set it up. You put the one reel on, you pull it over the head, and then you got to hook it on the other one, and then when it runs out, you just got this reel that spins and the thing flying.
And that made for some good shows where you're like, all right, we got 10 minutes of tape left.
Yeah,
like,
or we didn't know how long, but we just looked like there's a little bit of tape left. Like keep the jam going.
Yeah,
there's not enough time to start a new one.
So either fill it or like you're out of time. Like there's not enough time to start something, right? Just keep extending.
Well, we would always do it. We'd always just go till it died out. Yeah. But then,
not only the like hunting estate sales and acquiring tape, and then
there's
the mechanics of doing it every time. It becomes the novelty of it, and the magnetism, whatever you want to speak of it. It doesn't become quite as efficient or cost effective in these new days and age. So we did have to eventually cycle back to a better program going through the digital.
Actually, before we
got the board, right?
Before we got the tape machine, I got the board. I got this like 12-channel like 80s Tascam mixer. And that's been one of the bigger upgrades of anything, having that 12-channel mixer.
We're going from 4 to 12. I mean,
it's a good sounding mixer. Now it's also set up for doing 4-track recording, so you can route whatever channel into whatever. So we got that, and then we got to the reel-to-reel. We did that I think the reel-to-reel was only 3 episodes, probably. Maybe even only 2. And then I got the 8-channel Zoom recorder, the R16. And then still, after I had that, we still did hang on to we did the reel-to-reel music for a little while.
Yeah, and then digital voice.
Yeah, and then eventually we started doing where we'd bring out the Zoom here, record the talking, take it in there, and then we would do 8-channel music recording inside.
So I'd like to put that out there with the debate of tape versus digital. If anybody does hear the difference, shout it out there. Let us know.
I mean, there is a difference for sure in sound. I don't, better or worse,
Yeah.
But it's so hard to get a tape machine that has a lot of tracks that's affordable. Because like right now we're doing 16 tracks. And to get a 16 track, like reel to reel, you're looking at probably getting a 2-inch machine.
Yeah.
Something that like you'd probably even have to work on it the tape is a fortune.
Yeah.
It's just kind of not that feasible for what we're doing.
Yeah, Weekend Warrior. Yeah, that's an investment.
Okay, so then we started doing the 8 tracks digital. And like the first one with that is, who is it? Ryan and Dean. The Dean episode is the first.
Episode 5.
That's the first digital episode.
Where we did have a good discussion about the tape and the magnetism and the progressions through those different sounds.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more easily manipulated, right? And storage-wise. And
yeah, it's a lot easier to work with. I mean, kind of one of the most important things with music is having the instruments at the right levels. So when you get into having multi-tracks, like that helps a lot.
Well, I think a big improvement was the mic preamp too. Having that mic preamp to give you the headroom to have the board instrument. Yeah.
Yeah. Because at first when we first got the Zoom, we plugged straight into it and we didn't use the board, and it definitely
you have no headroom to work with between redlining and making sound.
You have mic pre's on the thing to work with, but I feel like the mic pre's on the mixer were just kind of a lot better, and some about those analog channels just kind of seem to make it sound better.
Yeah,
I don't really know. And then eventually, maybe 5 episodes later, I got another. Then I got the R24, and it's like the similar to R16, but they plug together. And then now it is 16 channels digital. So we also now we run a snake outside, and everything is like, the whole show is like running. Like every channel is recording the whole time. Like these mics are on out here, and then we go inside and play the music, and it's all just running. So it kind of makes like a good transition, we don't have to like bring the machine in and out again.
Yeah, it's nice and smooth. When weather's permitting, at least we can snake it outside and get the ambiance. You're not stuck in the small room, the recording space, jamming it out.
Yeah, and then slowly we've acquired a few different mics here and there. Well, yeah, I mean, that brings us to here.
To today. I mean, we're at 20. We didn't know if we would ever do 1. We always talked about it. We did it. It wasn't too painful, so we kept on doing it. I mean, we've met some awesome people. We've played some interesting tunes. One thing I think we strive for here is to try to have something unique every night. And I think we've kind of we've succeeded in that this far.
I think
right?
One
we
thing
never know what to expect.
One thing, everybody who's come, I think, has had like a really good time doing it. It's been been a fun time for everyone for all these episodes.
Yeah, it's definitely been a fun, positive experience. Like an exchange of ideas, not only conversation-wise with whatever people are thinking on in that day, or but just music-wise with where people are at. Just a lot of cool sharing of ideas and like merging of worlds, like just bringing country against rock people to blues, and just like a really eclectic mix of hopefully progressive music, something a little different or new.
Yeah, we've kind of found a groove a little bit at this point. Like the first few episodes, we were just completely freestyling.
We were throwing against the wall, seeing what would stick.
I did later write some music for stuff.
Some progressions.
Yeah, I just like write some kind of basic chord progression, some kind of like guideline.
Well, it's always that good. Sometimes people come in and you don't even look at those notes or need them, and it flows and it's there. But other times people are like, well, what's going on? And go, hey, look at the chart. We got 1 through 10 here. There's some few chord progressions. Is jam on A for a while.
Yeah,
and then you let that develop into something. But other than that, it's been basically completely freestyle, free form. We've had jumping points, but we've never had notes. We've never talked about anything what we're going to talk about. If anything, it's like, hey, tell that story later. Don't tell me now. Like, hold on.
Yeah. But yeah, here we are. It's been 20 episodes. Anybody listening, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking it out.
Thanks for supporting. And I think we're ready to go play a nice celebratory duo jam.
Yeah, let's do the rundown of what we got going tonight. Since it's just the duo, I don't know. I decided to pull out all the stops, and we hooked up on my side, Dustin's just playing regular drums.
I got the kit, regular kit.
But on my side, I'm running, let's see, we got 4 amps. First, we got a bass amp, an Ampeg bass amp plugged into a Hammond L100 organ. And then I also got a fuzz pedal on that. I got a fuzz pedal, and there's like a Leslie pedal, the Rotosphere. So, and it's got the foot pedals too. So I really am planning on using mainly those foot pedals
As your bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So the
I'm
organ
not
foot
going to go
pedals is
crazy
the
on those
bass.
foot pedals, but I'm going to be doing
Keep
a
some
little foot
downbeats
pedals. Then I got for guitars tonight. I got Danny, who was on last episode. He let me borrow his 335. So it's like I think it's a 1970 335. It's a really nice guitar. I'm going to be playing that. Got the SG2. Maybe I'll play a little bit of that. And then
You gonna throw down on the bass at all?
no bass. So I got the SG, and then that's going into. We got 3 amps going. We got the Vox AC30, and that's going through the pedal board, and then on the other stereo side of that, it is the there's a old Fender Bassman, like a 60s Fender Bassman through like a 212. And then also we got a 412 custom, but that's going through the Sitar pedal. So we use like the drone. It's the Electro Harmonix Ravish Sitar, but we use a lot of that drone. That's if you hear any weird droning, it's on that.
So we're feeling just a lot of space, some psychedelic Eastern
Definitely gonna be
blues.
Definitely going to be psychedelic.
Garage. Yeah, let's go with some tones. I'm thinking meditative, tribal. We'll see where we go. We always, I don't know. We usually go where we never expect to go, but we'll see. I'm feeling some psychedelic Eastern jams with that Ravish pedal going.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Yeah, I got some fuzz pedals on there. Got a delay pedal. Got a fuzz hugger pedal. Yeah, it's a cool fuzz pedal.
And you never know. We could have some surprise special guests up here throughout the mix. You never know what's going to happen on the Mystery School.
I highly doubt that's happening.
I never doubt anything.
I don't think anybody's showing up.
But hey, thanks again, Tony, for 20 episodes of the Mystery School podcast. Thank you, listeners, for the support and being out there and putting out this new format and supporting live music, live conversation, expression of new ideas, unaccepted ideas,
this
unaccepted
is just
forms
recorded,
of music.
bro. I don't think you can call this live music.
Well, we're recording ourselves live.
Yeah, but when you say like supporting live music, that sounds like you're going out to a gig.
Maybe I should say, maybe I should say unaffiliated music. Maybe supporting that good local
overdub free
that
music.
DIY overdub free, homegrown tunes, right? I don't know. Labels are tough. We don't want to label anything. So sorry if I threw a label out that doesn't stick. We don't want it to stick.
I have no problem with a lot of labels.
Here.
It's cool. Well, cool.
Well,
Yeah,
man.
let's go.
You ready to
get
rock?
crazy.
All right, let's get to it.
right.
Hey.
We're back.
We're back. That was fun.
It was really fun, yeah.
The return to the duo, huh?
Return to the duo.
Back to the roots, where it all began.
But this was like we've never had this much stuff going on with the duo.
Yeah, it was a more developed duo. A few...
That's going to be hella loud in the mic. It's going to sound like Darth
A
Vader.
more developed duo. A Darth Vader duo. And you had 4 amps going, right?
Yeah.
You usually would do 2 as a stereo, like.
Yeah, 4 amps. One of them, was mainly in a way the Sitar thing.
How often did you use that? I heard that in
we used
one
it a
main
few
part.
times.
Would you say about 40%, 30%?
No, like 20%.
20%?
Maybe, I don't know. It was on a good chunk, I guess.
I noticed it on a good solid track. It was there as the drone, and that was pretty neat. Was it like an E-drone?
I think so on that one.
But I mean, hey, I'm feeling good tonight. How about you?
Yeah.
I enjoy doing the duos. I've always appreciated the power trios and then the strong duos. And it takes a certain level of cohesiveness and musicianship, I guess. But just between a duo, it's very difficult to do. And I didn't know that I would ever even be able to hold down a duo as a young kid, thinking about that, if I could ever do it. And
I still
might have had a valid attempt tonight.
Sure, we're doing this on a podcast, but I don't have the intentions of trying to book a duo gig at the same time.
Yeah, that's a lot to put on.
I wouldn't feel like taking that out. I mean, especially tonight, we just improvised a duo gig. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how that goes over at a club.
Yeah, people don't. They want a certain level of preparedness, and it'd have to be the right scene, I guess, if it was true improv. But I mean, yeah.
But yeah,
it's definitely very player centric when you get into these jams, and especially the duo. It's almost to the point of like self-indulgent for the musicians. It's not for the listener at that point, but hopefully you draw on something that someone else likes to hear too. But yeah, it feels
self-indulgent. I think
it is self-indulgent. Any jam is, but as you get to that 2-piece.
But is like all shredding self-indulgent?
Well, ultimately, isn't that what jamming's supposed to do, or playing music? You're supposed to fulfill that inner desire, that self-fulfillment for expression or whatever it is, right? I mean, you have to draw a line in it, but I like overindulgent music where the musicians are they're just doing it for themselves. They're indulging in the sounds, and they're just, having just that ear candy and just doing what tingles their fancy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's enjoyable for me, but maybe that's musicians' music, not the average listener.
As long as you like the same thing they're going for, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I guess when the musician's being self-indulgent and doing those jams, that listener really has to just like what that person's doing and appreciate that conversation for what it is. If not, they're just not going to vibe with it. It's
just like if you're into their style, I guess.
Yeah, it's the purest form of almost finding like-minded spirits out there. You're just throwing it out there. You're not writing a song in those notes that are meant to be a love song or spooky. You're just playing what naturally comes out of you. And if the listener hears it, it's finding those almost like-minded spirits. And that was the cool thing about being that kind of like that young kid musician, thinking no one thinks like me, no one does this, no one will like my music. And then you start writing music that you really like and you enjoy yourself, and people come up and go, hey, I like that song, and they liked it for no other reason, but they just enjoyed that vibe, and you wrote it for no other reason because you liked it, and you end up meeting a cool person, maybe a kindred spirit. You're like, wow. And that was a way for me to spread your net to connect to different people with that filter there going, they're true, they're coming from a true space. If you're writing a prescribed song, you get all these fake people that like it for the wrong reason. They don't like it just because you like it. So maybe overindulging is valid in music at some time.
Tonight, though, I was thinking I want to hear how some of this I want to see the craziest stuff I can make with these 3 amps, and then hear it back, with put some headphones on and hear what it actually can sound like in stereo with headphones on.
So were you just trying some completely new?
Yeah, like there was a part, you see me bringing feeding back the guitar, moving it in front of those 3 amps. I wanted to see if you would be able to hear.
Oh, I could hear it. That's when I was doing the hi-hat rhythm to it. It was almost hitting that the and on the beat.
Doing that, I was curious if I could make it sound like the guitar is going around you when in the headphones, I was thinking, when I mix it down.
Well, that is an interesting perspective for me to sit there, because
you're kind of in the middle of 3 amps.
I am, and I do get that effect a lot of the time, especially when there's multiple musicians. But yeah, tonight with the 4 amps, I can definitely hear where those sounds are coming from, and I got that effect. I could hear that feedback, and it was coming in at a rhythmic tempo for me that I think I was trying to emulate on the hi-hat as an open kind of sound and keep it going. But I was thinking tonight we went in some heavy spots. That was cool, and like I was going, man, Aaron tonight, Aaron Blowers, or Blowers as he likes to call himself, was going to come on and play some bass jams tonight, but couldn't make it, unfortunately. But I was thinking through one of the jams, like, this is right up his alley, and I think him listening back on this, he's going to like that old, it's like that stoner rock. Like,
if he could get there.
He could get there, yeah.
Some of the other stuff.
Yeah, and I like that. I mean, I like it when Tony rocks out, like the blues boy, but adding that element, that heaviness, and just, I don't know. I love the
a couple brief rock breaks.
Yeah, I think it was almost rock-centric tonight. I mean, that was our jumping point. I mean,
yeah,
we were a lot of, I really liked how we fully developed our different thoughts and hung on a vibe for a while and let it speak and let the space speak. And that's important as a duo. And like we had, a little guitar interlude or a drum interlude that filled it. But I really liked that kind of mellow, drony, repetitive, meditative vibe we stuck on for a while.
Yeah, we did a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like meditative kind of.
Yeah, we found like that vibe, and just we enhanced and just built on it, but we stuck in it. And
yeah, I think that had a lot to do with the sitar pedal. That drone.
Oh yeah, particularly in that drone song.
That thing just goes droning on, and yeah.
Yeah, does it take you there, like in that mind space when you're playing with it, droning, like into a meditative space?
I don't know, kind of, I guess.
Yeah, for me it definitely does. I mean, I noticed it when I was...
It's just like, I don't consider it like a meditative place. It's just that place I get when I'm playing guitar sometimes,
So sometimes,
just
but
like,
you access it with that pedal.
Yeah, but I don't... It's sometimes you're playing without the pedal and you could still get into that groove,
Yeah.
But I felt like we were playing like some beats that went along with that pedal. Has kind of a little modulation.
Exactly.
Kind of
I was trying to the tempo to it.
Yeah, and it's got a tempo and kind of like almost like it goes through a couple notes, kind of.
Yeah, I heard that.
And then I
was trying to stick that tempo.
We tried to some riffs into there that tried to match that.
Yeah. I like that nice repetitive. It gets that mind in a nice, supple place. And,
do you think this will be some people's least favorite episode?
Probably.
Yeah. It's quite possible.
You never know.
Some people probably are going to hate this one a lot. While there's probably one guy out there who'll be like, that was my one.
Yeah.
This is probably Dustin's favorite episode.
I think so. I was having fun with it. I mean, that's the thing. That's the beauty of the balance of life. I mean, while it's like one person can completely hate it, it can be somebody else's completely like just best thing ever. And who knows? That's why we got to do this, just to be like we were talking about, self-indulgent in the jam. That's what we're doing. It's just right. We're not doing this for anybody else to be their favorite, not to piss anybody off.
Well, yeah, we're doing it. There's nobody out here that we're performing for, and we don't know if anybody's even listening on the internet
or ever will.
People, yeah. So what else are we gonna do? We don't. It's not like we can pander to anyone because we don't know who to pander to.
We have to pander to ourselves because we're just ultimately chronicling this for ourselves to listen back on and go, hey, remember when we used to hang out and play this music? Like, listen to how it progressed throughout the years. We get to hear the best of the 50s, 60s, whatever.
Yeah.
And for me, that's good. And I think for me, the music or projects or art or movies that I enjoy are self-indulgent. The creator is doing it because it's an expression that they need to get out of themselves, and it's something they enjoy doing, and it's something they would appreciate watching on their own. And then, I mean, I think as a fan, you can appreciate that realty to it, you know, and maybe it's musicians' music or artists find that more, but I think the fan these days are seeking that real, almost just self-indulgent. The creator really loves doing it, and then the person they see that pureness, and that it's, you know, they don't feel like they're being manipulated into liking something because it's just too good or too polished. It's just they naturally can become a part of it, right?
Yeah, it's like you can tell like this person is making like just the music they make. They're not trying to like do not trying to like play something else or like somebody else's. Yeah. It's like I don't know. Like there's certain bands where like, yeah, this is definitely their fresh idea. Like this is what's coming out of them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And
that didn't make much sense.
The more unhinged it is, it's more from the creative unconsciousness ultimately. So it's more almost like it's been created by more than just the musicians. So when the musicians or artists are being self-indulgent, they're tapping into that creative unconscious where almost other people can relate to it, and it's being created by them as well.
So you think what do you think when you talk about tapping in to this thing? What
I talk about
what else? No, but how else could you explain what you like feeling like a certain way type thing? What are you talking about?
Maybe if you think of a human being like a TV receiver or radio receiver, when you can tap into something, it's just having a realization to calibrate your tuner to tune into a specific channel.
It's like picking up Spotify through your body.
Exactly. And you can choose to block that out when you don't want to hear that day because it's too much chatter, or you can choose to tune in to something else. And ultimately, that's what it is, calibrating your receiver to not let things bombard you or signals unwanted, and then to choose your signal at that particular moment. I guess.
And what do you think it is that when you're playing drums you're able to tap into this thing? What do you think there is about that?
For me, I've always kind of described it as almost like channeling. Like when you write a song, or I talk a lot about that collective unconsciousness or creative unconsciousness. But when you write a really good song, and like you say you're not trying to write a love song, you're just tapping into something you like. There it is, tapping in. But you're trying to channel something that's almost already been created, whether by your higher self, whether by a higher consciousness, whether by the whole consciousness, everybody's thoughts, that's relative to the period that you're at. So it's based on current events or this or that, so it becomes this creative entity that flows out. But that's what I try to do when playing drums, is to tap into something outside myself. And I do that when I like playing basketball. You get in the zone, you just know you're going to make a shot. Just with music, when you're jamming, you step outside yourself, you tap into something deeper, and you're no longer consciously doing it. You're unconsciously doing it from like a deeper muscle memory, like channeling something. And I think that comes from practice of calibrating your receiver, knowing when to channel into something that you want to execute. You could channel into the bad channel and execute a bad rhythm or a drum beat, or get distracted by something and miss the point that the other musicians are saying.
Do you think some musicians think of this in more of a muscle memory type of a way?
I think of it's a lot of muscle memory. It is muscle memory. Like whether you're tapping into your higher self of a previous muscle memory, or it's trained. That's why you need to train your rudiments and have the muscle memory, so you can spontaneously react to that channeling of ideas, because that's the whole part. You can spontaneously do it without having the muscle memory of ever repeating it before, without thinking about it, because you're just doing it. But then when you step into your body and try to explain, how am I doing that? You need that repetitive muscle memory before of having done it in that mundane task of practice.
Or do you ever think of it like you need to practice to learn how to play like the sounds that you hear in your head? Like
exactly.
Yeah, like the practicing is like learning how to play those things in your head. So then when you get like playing with other people, because you hear all this stuff, I think even probably a lot of non-musicians could kind of hear in their head music to play along, but then you have to practice to be able to like make the rubber meet the road.
It's just like your vocabulary, enhancing those new words to express your thought fully, or how to spell it right. So it's like, you have to repeat that muscle memory and learn it somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you can spontaneously probably come up with words or an expression without
or how
it, but
like you could almost like remember the way somebody's voice sounds, but you can't necessarily do it. You know,
what do you mean?
Like you could remember how if somebody said something to you, you could like remember it exactly how they said it, but you can't physically do it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, you haven't shaped those sounds yet with the muscle memory with your mouth, but you'll hear it. And that's the key with music, is
being able to like get those sounds in your head. Like I know, you know, like how maybe you could hum along, but you know, you can't. You got to learn how to play it on whatever instrument you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yep. That's the interface of in your mind and expressing it externally. You know, I mean, and that's part of tapping in, right? Calibrating your tuner, whether you're doing it in the reverse mode of being able to tune into something input wise.
But well, the way I'm talking about it though is a little different than a tuner type of a thing.
Well, if you think of a tuner, it's a transistor. So a thought, you know, pulling in that signal is just like a thought turning into a signal, making your muscle memory to make that action, right?
But I was thinking of it more like you're pulling things out of yourself, as opposed to yourself channeling in a way, you know?
No, yeah, exactly. That's the completion of the loop. The first part is pulling something from somewhere, whether it's out of yourself, but then you have to push it out of yourself, right? You have to ultimately pull it into yourself through that discovery of the thought, right? Pull it out of the darkness of the other thoughts and put the light on it. That's pulling it in, that calibrating and tuning it in, and then you have to tune it out into an expression of sound, of the muscle memory of making it a note and not just inside your head, because you tune it in to bring that thought in.
I think you're losing me.
Yeah, well, think of it like, to get that thought right, or that idea to even make a note, you had to tune it in from somewhere. So from all the A's and the B's, you decided to focus in on the A and to express that A minor, right? So that's the input of tuning to A minor and deciding to see that and realize it. But now you have to express it and make a noise from that A minor in your head through your instrument.
But so what is the evidence that I'm tuning into? Like, why do you get the idea that I'm tuning into something to get these things, as opposed to maybe it's like from all the music I've listened to and and all the guitar playing I've done,
because an A minor
I've stored all this stuff up, you know?
Exactly, because A minor's been played before you existed many times, so you won't be the first person to ever play that A minor. So I mean, that's just a simple way to break it down. The A minor already existed.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm channeling anything.
Why not? It existed before you, so to have to be able to, you have to have an interface. I feel like
channeling is like there's some energy flowing through the waves tonight or something, and then you pick up on.
Well, that's one way of thinking, but there's multiple definitions of channeling, and it's almost the same thing of, it's just you're transisting, you know, you're changing one piece of energy into another, and that's what the realization of an A minor is. And you would never be able to make the note of an A minor if you didn't have any realization of an A minor. If an A minor never existed, right? I mean,
yeah, this is definitely going to be some people's least favorite episode.
So it's the chicken before the egg, but
whatever he's talking about, it's got to be good, I guess.
Who knows? But I guess everybody, I mean, what works for one man doesn't work for the other. And this is just my expression of my thoughts of how my
the way
idea.
You understand like what goes on.
Where my thoughts come from when I'm playing music.
So how do you do what you do in there? You just started jamming forever. Like, well, this is what I do, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, everybody.
I try not to think about it. Though you practice and think. When I think about things, like I think it leads to bad decisions. musically. You have to you can't have analysis paralysis. You have to find, and it takes the muscle memory of practicing and throwing it out there and seeing what a bad choice is. But you have to, I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, in this kind of a format, you just, we've just jammed.
I'm allowed to do whatever I want.
We just jammed for an hour, so like, if you have nothing prepared, what do you just got to be on your toes. You just going through, whatever notes are on that instrument you're playing. You don't want to just play the same thing over and over. So you got to like constantly just are on a road. You just taking it like one riff at a time or one chord progression at a time.
Yeah. So ultimately you're trying to tune into something beyond yourself and what you know, because what you know couldn't probably fill that hour. So you're trying to tap into whether like my sounds inspire that next new sound, your sound inspires my next new sound to make that I may have not hit that drum in that way. And I don't want to think about it too long. I just want to bring that expression in, and channel whatever you're throwing at me, that sound.
Well, I do notice like the best stuff happens and then you have a thought and then it screws you up. You notice that?
Yeah, that's exactly
it's like, oh, I thought about it.
And I've had that a very conscious understanding of that, and where I am going out of my body while playing. When you're in that really insane moment jamming, you kind of will step back and go out of your body, and you hear yourself almost like from a third perspective, where you're watching a band on stage, and like you enjoy it for that split second, like unobjectively or objectively, like with no judgment, and you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then you go, and then you're listening to the band open, and then you go, what did that drummer just do? Whoa, that was cool. That fill. And then you go, how did he do that? Like you would do listening to a musician. And then you start thinking about it in your head and try to emulate it, and then I'm back in my body trying to emulate that riff, and that's when I flub up. And then I go, wait, let go. And then I try to find that happy medium where you're not completely out of your body watching it, because then you go into those moments of when you're going, how are they doing that? But you have to be like, you're not consciously doing it, but you're not trying to do it. You're passively observing, but passively doing at the same time.
You're kind of like a bird man.
I don't know if that's what it is, but that's why I talk about meditative spots and like finding that medium in between those worlds. And like I can see that other side of fully tapping in and outside of consciousness, but then you want to practice to know what you're really doing, because if you try to do what you're doing and you don't have the muscle memory to do it, you come back in your body, you can't execute that on that level of.
Do you work when you are working? Is this your same attitude when you're working at work?
Yeah, what I do applies to.
You do it freewheeling like this, or?
Oh, when I approach a task?
When you're at work, yeah, you're like just hovering over your body, just whipping out all these tasks.
Well, kind of. I lay it out systematically, like with the good to-do lists, or I build a good muscle memory foundation that I can jump from. But then, you need to step outside and think on your feet and think in outside the box ways, to find those simple solutions, to not look at it as a problem. I don't know, that's from the business aspect of it, or looking at efficiencies, but you have to have some muscle memory is the analogy for a jumping point, or your to-do list, your priorities. But then you need to step outside of those and not get locked into them, and, rearrange them accordingly as shit hits the fan.
Yeah. It's like the whatever that Alan Watts has like an analogy about like a child learning or child first dances, just like going wild but really free, and then you get a kid in dance school, and then it's like really stiff and like really bad for a long time, and then eventually they get to the point where you could be free doing the dance moves, but with that like free spirit of blood.
Well
loose.
said. That beautifully sums up exactly what we were talking about with the, correlation of muscle memory with just channeling.
Yeah, it's always good to sum it up with the botched Alan Watts story.
Yeah, he did that well.
All right.
Well, hey.
Sign it out, I guess.
Episode 20, once again, the duo signing out. Mr. School Podcast. Man, it's been fun.
Yeah, it was
Thanks again, guys. Oh, hey.
It was a good jam.
We'd like to give a shout out, at least, to those loyal podcast listeners, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go with the first. I know we got friends and family, you know, our loved ones. So thanks, you know, Jenny, Mia. And then, hey, I got people at work that follow this, friends and family around the way. We got Cole Clintz out there. We got Douglas. We got Ben. We got Billy. We got Aaron Brown. Hey, you guys, thank you for being loyal listeners out there. We appreciate the support, and happy episode 20 to you all. If I forgot anybody else, hey, you know I love you, and we'll keep on chugging along.
Yeah, of course, a shout out to all the guests who have been on, which has been a lot of people. I'm not even going to try to name them.
You know who you are. You're named. You're in the list.
And then we got Mia, of course, Van. And then, my mom has listened to this.
Oh, cool.
Shout out
to
my
her. Dad. Hey, my dad too, right? We got
And then we got Josh and Preston.
Yeah.
And then Troy and Jimmy, they've been listening.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Who else, Tony?
I don't know. There's got to be some other people I can think of, but
hey, it's been a fun ride. I mean, every night to me feels like, hey, that was the best show we ever did. You know, and I hope we can keep that
even
up
tonight, you think?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think that's that uninhibited of like just going outside and not thinking, not judging. That's what I try to bring with music and what I love about jamming. And thankfully I've had enough practice in that mindset to let go of the ego. And so maybe that's one downside is every night feels like the best night ever, but that means you're having a fun time. And that's what ultimately what this is about, is having fun. Whether we're playing shitty music worth listening back to in the moment, like if we're having that time where it's the best episode ever, like awesome. And that's kind of how I felt after each episode. Like that was the best episode ever. And you know, I hope we can keep that on for another 20 and many more. And I mean, it's been fun, man. So
yeah,
thanks
it's
again.
been fun. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
All
Mystery
right.
School.
Good night.